Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. And good morning, YouTube. It is Thursday. It is 9:30 Cotton Cuts time, and it means it is time for us to just hang out together, I guess, is as exciting as it gets. Thank you so much for carving out some of your day to spend with us. Watching that video, I am still just in awe of the Flyway puzzle mystery quilt that just finished, you guys. Those finished designs, it is so different than anything we've really done with the PMQ before, but at the same time, it follows the same process. And it gets to that mystery element. You're doing the same process, but the end design can be so vastly different depending on the colorway you're doing and depending on the design. It is incredible. I can't wait. We're going to talk a little bit more about Flyway up here in a second. Good morning, everyone. I see everyone checking in from New Hampshire, from Kentucky. Patch 365 loves the Flyway as well. I'm a big fan myself. Good morning from Oregon, you guys. We've had a nice fake fall week here. So it's going to get up in the 70s this weekend in St. Louis. I cannot believe it. It has been crazy. I am going to share that the other night I was out exercising and I ended up seeing the Northern Lights here in St. Louis. And I know that was last night and the night before a big part of the United States was able to see it. If you got to see it, please share your comments and what you got to see. I got to see hot pink, I got to see hot pink, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite colors. So that was the color I got to see in the sky. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. And it was amazing. And of course, I call home and tell my family, and they were too slow to see anything. So too bad I had to share the photos with them. Okay. All right. I see Napa. I see lovely night skies. Yes, this week has been a good night for night skies for everybody. All right. Let's jump in as we always do. Oh, I think so. Paula put in giant letters on the top of the note today that I am supposed to introduce myself. So if you're watching us for the first time, I am Kim. I am the chief fabric enthusiast here at Cotton Cuts. I am the owner, the founder. I do all sorts of crazy things behind the scenes as well. Good morning from Prescott Valley. As you guys know, I know where Prescott Valley is. I grew up in Prescott. So thanks. Good morning. Good morning, Nana. Springfield, Illinois. Welcome, Joan. This is a good place to be when you're hanging out on a Thursday morning. Okay, don't forget to give StreamYard your permission so we can see who you are and engage with you. And of course, I see lots of folks are already doing that. So thank you so much for doing that. And we're going to start, as we always do, with questions that have been submitted by you guys. These are here on the desk when I sit down. I haven't seen them ahead of time. Paula likes to keep me on my toes. And so we will see where today's adventure takes us. All right, our first question comes from Danelle Stevens in Roseville, Michigan. Thanks so much for your question, Danelle. Danelle writes, I have a fat quarter bundle of beautiful lavenders, olive greens, and creams. There are 24 fat quarters in this bundle. What would be a beautiful pattern for that many fat quarters? Holy cow. Okay, so Danelle, so 24 fat quarters, 6 yards. Just quick back of the envelope math. That is a lot of fat quarters. And so they sound like fantastic color combinations. One of the things that I love about purchasing a brick, we call them sometimes a brick, right? When you get a fat quarter bundle like that, it's sometimes a brick. It does trip up security when you're going through the airport. So yes, so we call them a brick. And so when you get that type of pre-coordinated bundle, you know all your fabrics are going to work together. So you know they're all cut from the same collection. You know that green that's in there is going to be the same green for all the fabrics. You know that cream is the same cream. You know the lavenders are going to work together. So I think one of the easiest and all right, I've got, what? Paula just dropped something off, right? So you know that by getting this pre-coordinated bundle, that everything is going to work together beautifully. So I think that's one of the convenience factors that you get when you buy one of these bundles is that you know it's going to all work together. Now, 24 fat quarters is a spicy taco, Danelle. That is a lot of fat quarters. And so as I'm thinking about this question, I would default to my typical go-tos. I would look at Pinterest. I would search on the internet. I would ask in a Facebook group, what are some common 24 fat quarter patterns? There's a lot of fat quarter friendly patterns that are out there. I think as you're looking at it, it's really picking up what are the 24 of the 24, what do you love the most? And what do you think you might not necessarily want in your finished project? Because you might not want to use all 24 in your finished quilt, or you might want to make design-based decisions. If you love them all equally, then pick a pattern that treats them like your children, treats them equally. Right? So find a pattern where everything is the same focus. However, if there's some that you love slightly more than others, then find a pattern that perhaps have some where you can see more of a focal print and some where the less desirable prints are more in a background. I also do think that there is, when you look at your fabrics, you want to make sure that you're picking a pattern that's going to highlight your fabrics the best. And so if you've got a big focal print, you've got a print with a large repeat, make sure that you're going to pick a pattern where you don't cut that too small and you completely lose all the design elements that make it fantastic and amazing. So if you've got prints and of the 24, you're like, gosh, these 12 are fantastic. I really want to put them at the focus. There's patterns like the book covers, right? There's patterns like the mason jars. There's patterns that are made to highlight your focus fabrics that really sing to those more than perhaps some of your more coordinates. And every collection has them. They have the big focal print. They have the big, this is awesome. This is our mainstream print and you want to highlight it. And then they have the coordinating, the support team. And so when you're looking at these 24, so make sure you determine what is my main prints and what are my support teams. All right, let's see here. I think I covered, Danelle, everything on the question. What do you guys do whenever you get a bundle that has a lot of fat quarters in it? I know for us at Cotton Cuts, we do a lot of things involving 12 fat quarters. That's a very common unit of measure. We give a 12 fat quarter pattern free to all of our members every month in a lot of our boxes. And so 12 fat quarters is enough to make a project. Once you get past that into 24 and 36, do you take it and do you break them up into 2 separate projects? Or do you try and use them all together? I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say. I know for me, I ended up finding a large Moda bundle that was red, cream, and blue, which just happens to be the colors of the kids' high school. And so I made 2 Mondo bags out of it that I can take to sporting events. And so I took it and I divided them in half and made 2 of the same projects. And so, there's lots of different things you can do, Danelle. I really think that the opportunities here are endless, but it really is, how are you interacting with this fabric and how do you think it's going to highlight it to its highest potential? All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for your question, Danelle. I appreciate that. Our next question comes to us from Sarah Wright in Portland, Oregon. And Sarah asks, what happens to the leftover fabric from the cutting machines? Curious if you guys are able to use these scraps in a fun way. Okay, so that explains why there's a lot of stuff on the table today. And sometimes I know why they're here, and sometimes Paula just keeps me on my toes. And so I feel like I'm supposed to be talking about this when I answer this question. So when we die cut these fabrics, and so each month we die cut over 100,000 squares and triangles and strips. And some months it gets up to be even as much as 500,000, right? So we die cut a lot of stuff here in the shop. And what happens is when we're die cutting these shapes, we iron and fold the fabric to a certain configuration. And then when we pull it off the die, we always have what we'll call a frame that's left around the outside. And so I have here on the table a frame that's left over from one of our die cuts. And so this is our 7 1/4 quarter square triangle. And so this is the frame that's left over. And so it's real long, guys. Like it is, I'm going to call that, I'm going to do granny math, and hand to nose is 36 inches. So this is it's more than 40 inches long. And so in here, there's a ton of really good fabric. So here we've got, this nice, this could be a fantastic strip. We've got chunks here that can become triangles. We got a real wide strip in the middle. Like there's a lot of really valuable fabric. And so one of our core and sustaining values is we don't throw fabric away, right? Fabric has life, it has use. There's really no fabric too small to be used. And so we have traditionally on our old die cutters package these into bags that we call snippets. And so we have a snippet membership. I have an announcement on that one. We're going to go ahead and just cover that now. This is a fantastic question. So it's a fantastic question, Sarah, because our snippet memberships are now open for signups. So if you've been a snippet member in the past, or if you're a current snippet membership, or you've wanted to join, we actually have memberships open now. And so that is what this bag is. And so a snippet membership is everything that's left over, all of the frames. Every time we die cut, we put together these snippet bags. And so, and we send those to you guys, right? Because we want to keep them out of the landfill. We want to reduce our waste. And there's a lot of life left in these fabrics. We can't die cut them anymore. We can't necessarily repurpose them, but they can be used to make some fantastic, fantastic projects. And we've seen what they can do in your hands. On our website, if you go to cottoncuts.com/snippet, which Paula has on the screen now, on the bottom, you can see some highlights from some galleries of makes that people have made using a single bag of snippets. And we always hear stories about how much people love this. And when they get it, they unpackage it. And it's just so much fun to just iron them out and cut them into usable pieces. And it's very therapeutic to just maximize the fabric that are in these bags. So First announcement is that the snippets are back open for membership. So if you want to help us keep this out of the landfill and make beautiful projects with it, go to the website, sign up for the snippet. Now, the second announcement, I was going to do this now. Caroline, your question is actually timely. So what we are doing is we are bringing back our PMQ themed snippet memberships. So we did this for Wild West, to where we would make sure that this bag had all the same fabric from all the same collection. And so for Wild West, we did it. And, this was Gold Rush and this was Saloon, and it would be all from the same collection in a single bag. So we're going to bring that back for our Under the Sea colorways. And so all the Under the Sea fabrics are these guys. They're the really long pieces. They're the really big pieces. And inside each bag, you're going to get 3 different pieces of fabric from the same colorway. All right. So Lisa, we will work on that. We will figure out why the URL is not working. Paul is going to get it done. Give us just a minute. So in the Under the Sea specific snippet, you are going to get 3 of these all from the same colorway, and you get to tell us which colorway you want. If you're a Snippet Classic membership, you're going to get a random bag of scraps. They might be from the same collection. They might not be, but it's a nice, fun surprise. However, if you're someone that you signed up for Under the Sea, or there was a colorway that you missed out on, or you want to just get more fabric to be able to add onto your finished quilts, then you're going to want to sign up for this membership. Now we are limited. We are only going to do about 5 or 6 of each of the colorways. So it's going to be very small. And so by being on the show with me here today, you guys get lead announcement that is coming, because we're not going to put it on social media until later today. Oh, good morning, Crystal. How are you? So definitely get your Under the Sea subscription. That is only going to last for 6 months, because Under the Sea only has about 5 or 6 more months left in it. And once we get to the end, we're not going to be generating more scraps. So that subscription is only going to be for 6 months, and then it's going to end on its own. And I know last time we did this, we had lots of folks who would get, hey, I missed out on this colorway, and they want to get just a little dab of this and a little dab of that. So go to cottoncuts.com/snippet. Paul is going to fix the broken link, and I guarantee by the end of the show, it's going to be okay, but it's what we call it on that page, Paula, is sign up for the Snippet Classic. And so I think that button is broken. Yeah. It's not taking you to the product. So we will get that sorted. Don't you worry about that. Danelle, you are jumping ahead. So you asked our first question, but you asked such a great question. We haven't even gotten to talk about the new colorways yet. I am getting there. Let's see here. Crystal's catching up from work. That's fantastic. All right. So Sarah was asking about these bags. And so they weigh between 13 and 15 ounces, which is almost 2.5 yards. So if you were to take this bag and magically like melt and merge it all together, it'd be about 2.5 yards if it was cut continuous. But like I said, it's in these guys. It's all part of our, let's keep everything as much as we can out of the trash stream and keep you guys inspired in the process. And so it's super fun. Let's see here. Danelle, she says she's excellent at squirreling. So we're going to work on that, Lisa. She's still working on it. So we've got that all under control. All right. So those are the questions for this week. What's that now? All right. She says it's fixed. Look at Speedy. Like, here, you guys are with me. We encounter a problem, and within 3 minutes, it's solved. So fantastic. Thank you, Paula. We're going to give Paula a round of applause. Thank you, Paula, for fixing that. She's blushing over there, gang. You can't see it. All right. So those are the questions we have for today. So if you have a question for us for next week, go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit your question. They're handed to me here. Who knows where these questions are going to take us? Sarah and Danelle, you did a fantastic job. All right. So before we get into things going on in the shop, I have announcements. So clearly the first one is that the snippet is now open for new memberships. So if you've been waiting, you're going to get an email. If you want to sign up for the Snippet Classic, that's ready to go. Plus, we also have the new Under the Sea Snippet membership. So you can go online, you can pick whatever Under the Sea colorway you want, and we will ship you a bag of snippets just like these guys each month, all from the same colorway. Yes, they are $5 plus shipping. Yes. Sorry. So she's like, are you sure they're $5? Yes, it's $5 plus the cost of shipping. It's a steal, she says. It's a steal. So run and get them, run and get them. Again, you guys, like, this is not us trying to make a lot of money. This is us trying to keep things out of the trash, right? And so $5 a bag plus the cost of shipping covers all of our expense when we're die cutting it, packaging and shipping it, and it gets it out to you guys, right? So this is not like, we're not trying to make a lot of money off of this. We just want to make sure that we keep fabric moving in the right direction and making fantastic creative things. All right. Other announcements. Sort of working. The page loaded, but it won't add to cart. Okay, so Paula is going to go into we're just going to debug all this. Paula's going to go into the product listing and say that it can be available for purchase. All right. So in the process of all the cleaning up, I have another announcement for us. So we have created in the process of getting ready for Field of Dreamers, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We finished Flyway. Look at all this hand waving I'm doing today. I feel like Dominic should be here with me. So we are sunsetting Tree of Life. So Tree of Life, we're officially moving into the vault, and we've created a bunch of bolt-in bags. And so for you guys that have been with us in the past, this is what a bolt-in bag looks like at the end of the mystery. And so every time we have a mystery, we always have leftover parts and pieces. And so we have triangles and strips and squares left over. And then we have the binding kit that goes into the back as well, or just regular pieces of fabric, right? Mistakes happen, and we have bolt-ins, and we also have these pre-cut parts and pieces. And so here's another one as well. It's got a whole bunch of triangles and squares in it, and it's got some random bits of bolt-in fabric. So in that case, at the end, when we put it into the vault, we create these bags and we put them on the website. And so we have Tree of Life. We have all the colorways for Tree of Life on the website right now. And we are going to be offering a buy two, get one for the next week. So if you love these bags as much as we do, buy two, get one, go onto the website for the next week. You can also mix and match that with a strip pack for Flyaway. And just, again, we just want to move these things to you guys to make sure they stay out of the trash. And so for the next week, Flyaway strip packs and Tree of Life bolt-ins are buy two, get one. There's going to be a ton of social posts at it. Because you guys are watching me, you're going to get an advance notice. Go to the website now. There we go. All right. I think that's all the announcements I have. All right. Now for the shop updates. So in general, November is a good, busy month for us. We have a lot of things in transition. We have projects that are ending. We have projects that are in the middle, and then we have projects that are starting. And so in that case, November is kind of this weird month where we've got a lot of things. We just ended Flyway. We just finished Rosa's Holiday Your Way. That's going to finish this week. And we're about to start Field of Dreamers. And of course, we've got this Under the Sea that's still kind of going on in the background. So November is an interesting kind of month. It's a beautiful cycle, as Paula wrote in this note. It's a beautiful cycle of creativity and production that keeps us moving forward. So giving everyone an update on Rosa's Holiday Your Way. The Scrappy Happy project is going to ship tomorrow. Our goal is to always have everything shipped by the 15th, so it'll ship tomorrow. If you purchased another Rosa's Holiday Your Way, we're going to put those together and send them in the same box to you. That'll give it about 2 weeks for the post office to get it to you. Should be plenty of time to get it in time for the 1st of December for everything to start. Our Scrappy Happy row by row is looking really good, you guys. We've changed it so much. Each one has a row by row pattern in it. It's super stinking cute. This is one I am super looking forward to, and I'm glad that you guys loved it as much as we do and that you jumped on it and it's finally sold out. Okay. Let's see here. It's about embracing color and scrappiness. It was a lot of fun for our team to go pick out all these color families. We used a lot of like the rainbow that's on the wall behind me. It was a lot of fun. And all things Flyaway have shipped. So all the backings, all the borders, all the stitches, everything is on for Flyaway. And so now we get to spend the next month being inspired by everyone's creativity as you finish them all together. And we get to see all your finishes into the Facebook group, the Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group. And then we start talking about Java Chroma. Java Chroma shipped this past week. Those shipped on Monday. They made their way out the door to you guys. There's a Java bundle. Yeah, that's not the right bundle. I don't know what's going on for the Java Chroma, but those shipped out the door. I've shown you guys Java and Chroma a few times. And let's see here. Our big one is island hopping. And so Mystery 5.0 island hopping, Clue 2 dropped yesterday. And so I love seeing you guys put all these together. And I want to give you kind of an effort update on island hopping. So Clue 1 and Clue 2 are like very, very high energy clues. Like there's a lot of those 9 patches. There's a lot of those half rectangle triangles, right? So you've got a lot of work early on. I'm going to give you a shortcut and tell you that the next 2 weeks are a little easier. It's a little bit less. If you finish Clue 1 and 2, there's not a lot of fabric necessarily left in your box. And so we're going to talk about Clue 3 and Clue 4 in the next 2 weeks. But I want to tell you, as I say in the helpful videos, make sure that you've stretched, make sure you've rested, make sure you're hydrated, make sure that you've had a snack, make sure you've got a podcast going or a show or music, because you are going to be in for Clue 1 and 2. But it gets easier. 3 and 4 are lighter, which is fantastic with the holiday coming up. And so if you get behind, you can easily put work in 3 and 4. 3 and 4 went together really super fast, gang. So I would not worry too much about getting behind because there is time built in the schedule for you to get caught up. Those half rectangle triangles are mind-bending, guys. I have seen so many people posting photos in the groups. You guys are figuring it out. It makes me so darn happy. They're coming together so well off our die cut pieces, and so fantastic. So I want to do check-in with you guys because, you know, our team internally, we had the 10-month puzzle mystery quilt, the big 10-month mystery quilt. We've done that 17, 18, 19 times now. And so we heard feedback that you guys wanted a shorter cycle program, which is why we started doing Mystery 5.0. And so I am curious, do you guys like the faster 1 clue a week, boom, 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 boom? Or do you like the 10-month overarching program? What works for you? Is it longer? Is it shorter? Or is it both? Or is it, are we gonna Goldilocks this and say it has to be halfway? You guys tell me what you think. Do you like longer? Do you like shorter? Or is there a Goldilocks answer that's somewhere in the middle? Please let me know. You guys, we're always taking feedback from you guys. We want to make sure that we're, you know, giving you guys what you want. I know a lot of people like the 1 clue a week because it keeps you going. Yeah, Jana, the 5.0 is a little too fast for me, but there's a lot of people that are keeping up and trucking along, and I am here for that. So just let us know. Paula will tally up all the answers, and if you guys have any comments as well, we want to take those, especially as we're looking at next year. The next Mystery 5.0 will start in January. We want to make sure that you guys are loving it still and still on board. And the designs are totally different. It's fantastic. All those good things we've already talked about. You know, each format has its place and they're wonderful, and they definitely, but we want to make sure we're delivering to you guys what you like. I was actually talking to some folks. I was answering the phones yesterday. We had some folks that were out sick and working from home. And so I answered the phones yesterday. I had lovely conversations with folks that called in about why they like Mystery 5.0. And it was fun, and why they like Cotton Cuts, because there's the Mystery 5.0 program, and then there's the Cotton Cuts version of the program, which is a little different in many places. And you guys are going to see for this design, Mystery 5.0 has 2 finished designs. Cotton Cuts is going to have about 7 or 8. And we're going to show you guys all the different ways you can play with this and make it your own quilt. So yes, even though there's lots of people all over the United States doing this, this is truly your quilt, and it's going to become something that is unique to you. All right. I would like the shorter length every other week. PMQ is perfect. Weekly is too fast. I prefer 10 months. I love the PMQ because it's a pick me up once a month. I make my own designs between clues. I like shorter. Every 2 weeks would be good. I feel like every 2 weeks feels like the right answer here as well. So we'll see what we can do on that front as well. All right, I do have an announcement on Mystery 5.0. So we still do have a few last Aloha kits. We're cleaning up in here. So if you missed out on Aloha the first time, if you want to make sure you do the 3 quilts and you get that free 4th quilt, then I'm going to encourage you guys to jump over, grab an Aloha kit for the next week. We're going to have a $10 gift card with each purchase. So each Aloha kit that you purchase, we're going to give you a $10 gift certificate. I'm not going to foreshadow anything here, but you can definitely use that $10 gift certificate on anything Field of Dreamers or anything on the next Mystery 5.0. But just by going online, buying one of our last few Aloha kits, you're going to get a $10 gift card with purchase. Patch 365 says she's struggling with her clue to Mystery 5.0, but you'll get it. Yes, I feel like, and we even had a post in the Facebook group last night of someone who was stitching along in that clue 2, got about 10 of them done, had to go make dinner, and came back, and the next 10 were not as great as the first 10. And so I feel like there's a lot of factors that contribute to that. So really all the prep stuff I said, stretch, eat, hydrate, have a good podcast, all that good stuff. All right, so what is coming up ahead for us? So we are shipping Modern Maker and Cuddle Books next week. And I want to show you guys the Modern Maker fabric. This month's Modern Maker is Gingerbur. It is called Night Owl. And so I have 3 of the fabrics. I wish I had more, but Emily's actually cutting them off the bolt right now. So I can't show you any more than this. But here is one of the lovely prints from Night Owl. And so this is a fun, I mean, I love dark prints, and this one has cute gold stars. And I know in Modern Maker, sometimes there's a perception we do a lot of floral. This is not that collection, you guys. This one's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, it wouldn't be Night Owl if there weren't actually physical owls in the collection. Whoops, let's do this. It wouldn't be Night Owl if there weren't actual owls in the collection. And then because it's Gingerbur, she does a lot of really fun kind of, these are what I was talking about. When you look at your fabrics, you want to make sure you're matching scale to the finished design. And so for this one, right, there's a lot of colors in here. You could choose to use this as a full kind of big block, but at the same time, if you cut this one smaller, it's going to have more visual interest. And so really, when you're looking at fat quarter bundles, You want to make sure you're matching the cut to the fabric and how it works with you. So yes, if you love those are in our Modern Maker Box collections. We also have Cuddle Books, which are shipping next week. They're shipping tomorrow, guys. She's okay. Now I'm getting, it's right there. It's right there. Go get it. Okay, so I'm going to get it. All right. So here are our Cuddle Books. And so, like I said, this month we're doing something new with Cuddle, and that's that we found books that are geared towards a slightly older child and not necessarily as young as they've typically skewed, which is not good or bad. It's just different because we want to make sure that you guys keep getting what you want. And so Cuddle Books are shipping tomorrow. If you're not a member of those, definitely hop on over and sign up. We love our Cuddle Books. Those are cute, fun little books to make. As I talked about this before, at one of our retreats, someone brought their panel because they weren't sure where to start. I was able to talk her through it, and within an hour, she had a Cuddle Book. It was fantastic. All right, let's get to Field of Dreamers because I've already seen lots of questions. You guys are very excited about our next mystery. That makes me very excited and happy. So Field of Dreamers signups are coming on December 5th on the first Friday in December, as they always are. You guys are excited about colorways. And so we're going to do something different because it wouldn't be so much fun if we just did the same thing we always do. So what we're going to do is starting next week, we're going to start dropping a couple colorways every other day, every third day or so, just to keep you guys on your toes. And so we're going to drop a couple colorways on the website, and then a couple days later, a couple more colorways, and a couple days later, a couple more colorways. Because what fun is it if you just go there and they're all there at one time? So we're going to kind of drag this out and just keep it exciting. Now, with that said, if you're not a fan of the first 2 or 3 colorways, please come back. I'm just saying there is a lot of variety in this colorway. And there's a couple that, as with every mystery, there's always 1 or 2 colorways that just don't sing to you. And that's okay. Because when you see it finished, it's singing to someone. And so, oh, she wants me to drop a few today. Pat Vizina wants us to drop a few today. No, you got to wait till next week. You got to wait till next week. Our team is super busy. So in that case, I'm going to drop a couple each day. And we're going to do just like we've done before, where you guys get to choose the colorway names. So Paula already has a whole library of options. She's going to post them in the group. You guys are going to get a chance to vote which name you want for each one of these colorways. And then we'll have those signups on December 5th. A quick reminder, if you are a Flyway detective, be sure to check the inside of your package and check your email so that way you can get signed up a day early and beat the rush. Now, many of these, I say this every time, and I feel like I want to say it. I have to say it again. And I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. So there are colorways that are going to sell out because there are some fabrics that I cannot get any more of. There's only a very small number where we've picked like basics or reorderable or, open stock items that I can order for forever. But the vast majority of them, once it's gone, it's gone. And so I want to make sure you guys are all aware of that. So make sure you're setting those alarms, setting those timers, getting in, getting signed up. We're going a little different on this one. So when you guys see the colorways, you're going to be like, hey, I'm used to seeing X, Y, and Z. This is very different because the design is different. Just like Flyway was a different finished design than normal, this one is different as well. Savvy McStilly. I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Savvy McStilly. The anticipation, waiting to see the new colorways. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Tim Holtz. All right. And all of these things, right? Like I said, November, we have projects ending. So this is our last month of Tim Holtz. And so normally we would have the Tim Holtz fabric by now. It is supposed to be here any day now. And our team is waiting by to get those last ones out the door. Ray is asking if we can do some Tula Pink. I'm going to tell you, Ray, there's a gray work in there. I'm going to let that one slip. There is definitely, listen to these things. These people over here excited. Yes. So there is a gray work collection. So that is one you're going to want to check out on and make sure that you're like quick and fast because that one, I think they're already doing their second reprint and that might not come back. So what was I talking about? Oh, Tim Holtz. So Tim Holtz is about to, look at all these yeses. They're excited over here about the gray work. Okay. So Tim Holtz is ending this month. It has been a 12-month program that's been on a 14-month time scale because of delays at the manufacturer. But we are still very excited to get these last blocks out to you. I think we're going to have a show in, I think, 2 weeks time. And we're going to show you my big block quilt that I've been sewing, where I've taken each month and I've made a big block. And so you guys can see it. We're also going to have some examples, some inspiration gallery of the smaller blocks and how you guys can use the sashing or not use the sashing. That is up to you guys as well. But we got Tim Holtz coming. We just need the fabric here so we can make all of our samples so we can get this finished and put it on the shelf. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek as well, right? So every year we kind of have this fun bonus project. And so we did floral states, and we've done, we did the gnomes, and we've done Tim Holtz. So as we look at next year, we have another one of these bonus projects coming. And this is very different for us. This is very different for a lot of people. There is, how much of a hint can I give you guys? So there is an exclusive fabric collection that comes out of the United Kingdom and is distributed here in the United States. And a lot of people are scared to use because it's expensive. And so we're going to take down some of those barriers that make people not want to use it. And we're going to try and get you guys sewing with it every month to break down some of those barriers so you can use this beautiful, lovely fabric in a fun and interesting cotton cuts way. All right. That's all I'm saying. All right. Yvette is saying she loves cotton cuts. Heart, 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 heart. Maybe you guys are onto something, but there will definitely be much more about that coming. I see some comments. There's more coming about that after the first of the year. All right. The last note I have is retreats. So we announced those 3 locations. So Savannah, Denver, and St. Louis, they're open for registration. The deadline is coming to get that $100 discount for your double occupancy room. So grab a friend, or if you don't have a friend that's coming with you, we will pair you up with a friend and you'll be new quilting besties. So it's a $100 discount by, I think it's November 22nd. Make sure you get signed up. All it takes is a $250 deposit, guys. And then we'll just every month until we get like 3 months out, we'll take all the payments out. You guys will be off and joining us on these incredible retreats. I cannot wait to go to these cities. It is going to be so much fun. Jean Thompson has a whole lot of screaming, crying, throwing up. I am so excited. Oh my gosh, you guys. Wow, I love it. I'm just making everyone happy. Look at all of these. They're so excitable this morning. I am happy. Between gray work and a new project. What's that now? Oh, I heard a psst. Usually that's a camera missing something. Okay. All right. So I think that is literally all the announcements. That's everything that's going on. That's everything fun. So let's jump into today's main topic. So today's main topic, we are talking about finishing up your quilts. The topic is timely because we just finished Flyway last week. And so we want to talk about, we're going to skim over this at a high level. Some of the considerations that you're going to be considering as you finish up these puzzle mystery quilts, as you finish up these designs. And so we're skimming over the top of it because we've done in-depth shows on all of these before. And so what Paula is going to do is she's going to put the links to it. And I'm going to give you like the most valuable tips and tricks and inside information into each of these elements in this show. And then you can go back and watch the original show for way more information and in-depth information about it. So we're super excited about Flyway ending, and we've seen a lot of the finished tops. And so now that it's done, it's the So What Now What, SEW, So What Now What. First thing we're going to talk about is borders. And so you've got this quilt. It's either 48 by 60 or 72 by 72. I don't know about you. I have never seen a bed that's 48 by 60 or 72 by 72. So you're probably going to want to add borders to it. And so you're going to want to add borders to it. And so why do you add borders? So you add borders to get it to a finished dimension that you want. I am going to challenge you to see if you can tell me, if I say, hey, I want to make a queen size quilt, what is that dimension looking like? Because that is not a standard unit. You can type in Google today, queen size quilt, and you're going to get lots of different considerations for what the dimension is of a queen size quilt. And so it all depends on, do you want it to just cover the surface like a coverlet? And how much drape do you want on the sides? And also how much do you want to go around the footer? So it'll give you the dimensions of the mattress and it'll give you a recommended dimension. But there's some personal preference in here when it comes to what you want your finished quilt size to be. And so do you want it to hang over? How much do you want it to hang over on the sides? How much do you want it to hang over on the front? And how much do you want it to hang over the pillow shams at the top? So once you get that number, you're going to take your quilt and you're going to add borders to it to make it that finished dimension. That's one reason to add borders, is to get it to the finished quilt size you want. The second reason to add borders is to frame your quilt. So the best kind of illusion, the best kind of simile metaphor that I can use to talk about this is you have a photo, and you can put that photo directly in a photo frame and finish it. You can also put it in a mat that will give you a little bit of a border all around your photo to finish it just a little bit more. And then you can also get a fancy frame to put it in. So you can frame it and you can mat it, and you're actually just adding accents to your photo. Same thing with your quilt. You add borders to add frames and to add kind of finishing and mats to it. And so in that case, you're thinking, how am I want to finish this? Now, we did go through a phase about 15 years ago where borders were out of vogue. We just wanted to put binding up right next to all of our piecing, up next to all of our triangles, squares, and strips. And so borders were not in fashion. Borders are coming back into fashion. And so when we look specifically for the PMQ, borders are a great way to make it the finished size that you want. We have border kits. And so I think I want to talk about what makes the Cotton Cuts border kit a little different than a traditional border that you might put on a quilt. So when we cut our border kits for the Cotton Cuts PMQs, they're always cut from coordinating fabrics from the quilt. So it can be a fabric that you used in the quilt, but can also be from the same collection that we thought would make a fantastic finishing border, that we thought would be a great frame or a great mat for the finished quilt. The way we cut them is very different. So we always cut our borders running length, running yardage. So we cut them as a continuous piece. Oh, look at this. Ask and you shall receive. We cut these borders as a continuous piece of fabric, the length of the fabric. We don't cut with the fabric borders. And so there's a couple benefits to us doing that and you not having to do that. Oh, look, hey, here's a tulip pink one. And so here's a border here and here's a border here. So it is a continuous piece of fabric. So you don't have to piece them. That's one of the most obvious differences in this, is it's a piece of fabric that's cut the 72 inches that you need. But it also, as Dominic, if Dominic's shadow is here, he'd be talking about warp and weft. And by cutting our borders continuously with the fabric, they do not stretch as much when you are stitching them onto your finished quilt design. So by us doing that, you're actually able to keep them straight. There's not a lot of stretching. There's not a lot of bias edges there. They are more stable than if you cut them with the fabric and piece them together. Now, mind you, it's minuscule. It's not a lot, but it does mean a lot if you want to keep those dimensions whole. Now, as a home quilter, I probably would never cut borders that way. I would never cut them that full run of fabric. However, here in the shop, we can do that because we're making so many of these that it makes sense for us to cut them that dimension from a lot of construction purpose as well as a design aesthetic as well. So one of the things is the Cotton Cuts borders are cut more continuous and they're meant to coordinate. Now, I know a lot of people when it comes to borders have a method. And I've met quilters before who say their first border is 3 inches, their second border is 1 inch, and their third border is 5 inches. If that's you, do that for your quilt. That person has their favorite frame at Michael's and buys 25 of them and uses it for every photo in their house. And that is fantastic. We love those people so much, but they know what they like and they keep doing it. However, if this is your choice, right, you can do lots of different things with the border. This time for Flyway, we offered a Stitch It border kit. And so what we did was we included the most common pieces used in the Flyway design, and we put them in an accent kit. So if you want to take one of those borders that our team has lovingly cut, run a fabric, and perhaps cut it and insert a star or insert another one of the birds that Sheila was talking about for migration, you can do that and you can add a little boost element to your border just to make it a little bit more fun than a continuous piece of fabric. But the first question you have to ask when you're finishing your quilt is, are you going to add borders or not? What is the finished design you're looking at? Once you have your borders picked, the second piece is to look at backing. And so I want to talk about backings in a couple different senses here. So there is what we will call the easiest way, which is to pick just a single piece of fabric and put a single piece of fabric on the back of your quilt. Standard cotton, quilting cotton with the fabric is 42 inches wide, 40 to 42 inches wide, sometimes 44 if you're lucky. And so oftentimes you'll have to cut it and piece it, and that's a lot of geometry and figuring out how to most efficiently cut the backing to make sure your backing will fit the front of your quilt. Now, when you look at dimensions for backing, you always want to add about 4 to 6 inches on either side. If you're working with a long armor, it can be as much as 8 to 10 inches on each side. You want to cut it bigger, and people, it hurts because that's a lot of fabric and it feels like a lot of waste and a lot of cost, but you have to make it bigger because sometimes when your fabric is quilted, it tends to move and it tends to dance on the back of your quilt when you're quilting it. And you want to have that extra inches because it would be horrible. And I have done this and it hurts me so much when you cut it the exact size and then on the back, it shrinks up a little bit and then you have a little bit of batting exposed, and your quilt is all quilted, and it's real sad, and you have to do something very unfortunate and take it all apart. So always cut your backing just a little bit bigger, so that way it gives a chance for it to dance and move on the back of your quilt, as it is sometimes apt to do. So you can take that single fabric. However, if you're going to use a single fabric and you're using standard width of fabric, make sure you're not using something directional, because what's going to happen is you're going to have this beautiful chunk of fabric, and your fabric's going to be like, I'm going to make this up, a herringbone that's going this way. And you're going to want to cut the other two pieces efficiently. And all of a sudden your herringbone is going this way. And it's not going to look super great. So if you are cutting a directional fabric, make sure that you're accommodating for that in your yardage requirements to make sure that your direction is going the same. Otherwise, you could have dancing unicorns dancing this way, and then all of a sudden they're dancing down, and then they're dancing up. I mean, if that's fantastic and that's what you want to do, then definitely do you. Let's see here. Sarah Wright is asking a fantastic question. Sarah had one of our early questions. If you order the backing for your Cotton Cuts PMQ, but then decided to add a bordering kit after, will you get enough backing to long arm? So Sarah, that's a fantastic question. The backing, the backings for Flyway were all cut standard with the fabric. So they're all in the 42 to 44, everything I've just described. So if there are dimensions with border and without border, with and without border for those backing kits. And so Sarah, I'm going to ask you to email out to help at Cotton Cuts and see if we can get you matched back up again. We might have to get you an additional yard or two of fabric in order to make sure that you can get a backing big enough to long arm. Now, starting with Under the Sea going forward, we're doing all 108 wide backs. So there's definitely more than enough yardage in there to be able to accommodate with border and without in the cuts that were sent. And so we're going to talk about wide back in a little bit. But for Flyway, it's our last one in this method. It's for so many reasons going so much better to go to wide back. But in the standard with the fabric, you are going to need a little bit more yardage if you've added a border kit. And for most of the cases, we looked at the size of your quilt and your borders to see this. All right. Welcome, Janet. It's good to see you again. All right. The other piece is if you get to the backing of your quilt and you are strange like I am, sometimes you want to piece the backing of the quilt. You want to bring in pieces from the front and put them on the back, or you like 3 or 4 or 5 different fabrics and you want to put some piecing elements on the back, or perhaps you're just short on fabric and like Sarah, you've ordered a yard too few and you just want to add other fabrics. Like, you can piece the backing of your quilt. There's nothing saying that the back of your quilt doesn't have to be as beautiful as the front of the quilt. I oftentimes use a piece backing if I've got leftover parts and pieces from the front. With the PMQ, that's not typically a problem because you get exactly what you need to piece the front. But if you have an oops kit, if you have a stitch it border kit, if you have leftover border bits, if there's anything that you want to use, yeah, Patch is saying she uses her oops kit to add to the backing. If there are other fabrics left over, I'm a big fan of making a project completely self-contained. So I don't want to have that oops kit sit on my shelf whenever I have a finished quilt, because chances of me making another quilt with the same fabrics are very low. So using the oops kit on the back kind of keeps it all in the same place. And so then you can make one complete continuous finished project. And you also add a little bit of flair on the back as well. So don't forget though, when you are piecing that backing, that you are going to have these extra inches all around it that you're going to want when you quilt, that your long armor is going to want when they quilt it. So please don't piece something that's going to get cut off and discarded. That would be very unfortunate. So make sure you make your piecing smaller than the overall backing that you're going to supply. And then the third piece for backing is wide back. And so as Ray says, she loves the wide back, is the best thing ever. And so this is something we started doing with Under the Sea. We're going to do it again. Oh, here it is again. They're cutting fabric in the background. And so there's a little bit of thread in the air. So we started doing this for Under the Sea, and we did it again for Mystery 5.0. And that's making them wide backs. And so it's actually hard to find a lot of coordinating wide backs. There's not a lot of wide backs made by manufacturers. They are getting better at it. The technology is getting better, and it's becoming easier to find coordinating wide backs. But it takes out so much complication in the process because you can just buy your kit, get your finished top together, and bam, you're done. Ray says she makes a throw pillow with the oops kit. It's nice to have another decorative element. I've seen also a lot of people do bed shams with their oops kits as well. Okay, so that's your backing. So lots of options there. We did a whole in-depth video on backing, so definitely check that one out. Batting. So we talked a lot on the show. We went through lots. I had samples of different types of batting to show you. When it comes to batting, the first consideration is cost, right? And we want to make sure you stay within your budget. What can you realistically afford? What is the quilt going to be used for? And for me, it's what does my long armor have and what do they prefer to use, right? So sometimes you have control over the decision and sometimes your long armor is going to make that decision for you. Patch is saying we need an air cleaner. A big fan with 3 air filters taped together as a box. Works great. We have a lot of dust in here for sure. Let's see here. Catherine says she uses the Kona white wide back on her back of her quilts. I think that's interesting, Catherine, that you use white on the back of your quilt. And so what color, do you use that as an opportunity for the color of thread to come through? Okay, Paula is bringing me a lozenge because she is amazing. Thank you. So these are my favorite, guys. And so we have these here in the shop, these butterscotch discs. They remind me of like my childhood when I would always go to my grandmother's house. She always had the butterscotch discs. We were talking about batting. So how is the quilt going to be used? What is your budget, as well as what does your long armor prefer? Lots of options. If you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to start, an 80-20 blend is a great way to go, because 80-20 blend is a good kind of middle of the road. You can try it, see if you like it, see if you like the loft, see if you like the way it washes, and then you can go from there. All right. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff in here about I have Jolly Ranchers on our table. So Catherine's saying on that white Kona, she uses a light gray or silver thread to show the pattern. That's a fantastic idea. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here about creating the sandwich. Given my shortage of voice, we're going to skip over that. But basting is always a challenge, right? So if you are sewing this quilt at your house and you intend to quilt it yourself, the basting part is the foundation of everything. When I'm talking about your backing and your batting kind of dancing and moving around, it all comes from your basting. And so I am old school. I grew up you get a big open floor. And we hope it's hardwood. Please don't use carpet, because if you use the safety pins, you're going to pull up your carpet. Trust me, I've done that before. You safety pin it to the carpet. But because you want a flat surface, you put your backing down, you put your batting down, you put your quilt top down. And I used to have to wear knee pads because I would safety pin. And safety pin every 3 to 5 inches per the packaging on the batting, and you'd crawl all over your floor. And that's how I used to quilt my quilts. I am a believer now in spray basting. I know the adhesive gets everywhere. It's not super fantastic. It's not super great because the adhesive can be in the air and it can make you cough and all sorts of fantastic things like that. Spray basting actually, to me, has held my sandwich together faster and better. And I don't have to use as many safety pins as I would have with any other methods. But I'll definitely do what makes you happiest, what makes you comfortable. I know Krista Watson has a fantastic tutorial where she based her quilt on a wall, so she doesn't have to crawl around on the floor all the time. I've also seen one where there's tables involved and there's pool noodles. I mean, when it comes to basting your quilt, there's so many options, you guys. Lots of information that's out there on the internet as well. And then when it gets to quilting, so those of you that are going to hand quilt these Flyway quilt tops, I mean, you guys are my heroes. More power to you if you're going to hand quilt this. That is aspirational. That is fantastic. Savvy McStilly says she uses the pool noodle method on the table to avoid being on a floor troll. Yeah, you definitely want to save your knees. Positively Stitched says she prefers spray basting. The Dritz brand at Walmart doesn't have as strong a smell. I in a pinch needed spray based, and so I went to Walmart and got the Dritz brand, and it was fantastic. Yeah, I feel like safety pin manufacturers are probably losing out with the creation of spray basting because it is so much easier now. And I like that you can peel it off and put it back down again, and it still sticks in case you make a mistake, versus a safety pin. Like, I can't even imagine taking out the 35 curved safety pins I put in if I made a little bit of a mistake. Spray basting feels like it's the way to go. Yeah, actually, Joe Mosley was just saying the same thing. Pull it apart and adjust if necessary. Game changer. All right, so if you're machine quilting, stitch in the ditch, that's a fantastic beginner option. Just stitch in all of your sew lines, and that helps quilt your quilt together. You can do fancy on your home machine. I have these little acrylic templates that kind of give you squiggles and give you feathers and give you all sorts of things. Your long armor probably has more options to show you than you probably know what to do with. I feel like for me personally, whenever I send a quilt to a long armor, I always get stuck because they send me all the pantos, all the designs, and I'm like 75 pages later, I'm like, oh, just finished my quilt. I put so much work into it and spent an hour looking on your website. Just pick something you think is great. That is a fantastic option that's worked for me. And so in that case, it's worked for me. I just say, pick whatever makes you happy, pick whatever makes you comfortable. Now, Robin on my team has found a long armor for us to use here at Cotton Cuts. That is, she's an elderly lady. She lives, in a rural area. She uses only white thread, and she has only like 1 or 2 different designs. And she just does it because she loves it. And so again, if that's your person, if you're okay with not having on Flyway, if you don't want to have the birds in it, you just want your quilt finished and your project finished, then that is definitely the way to go for you. Patch wants us to show one fabric of gray work. Paula, we have gray work on the back shelf back here. All right, Paula's going to go grab some gray work for us. All right. And there's no shame in sending your quilt to a long armor, right? I feel like some people are piecers, some people are quilters, and some people are both. I'm a piecer. If you were a quilter, then that is fantastic as well. And then the final step is binding. So you guys, we've talked a ton about binding on previous shows. There's a lot of good tutorials out there for binding. My favorite is from Red Pepper Quilts. She is a quilt maker from Australia. Her binding tutorial that she published in, I think, 2016 is my go-to. I search for it on the internet every time I'm doing binding. It teaches me how to machine sew both the top and the bottom. I am not a hand stitcher for binding. If you are, that is fantastic and that is great, but I machine the front and the back to finish it. And so that is a tutorial I always go to. That is what I recommend. I can see the gray work now. It is coming, gang. I don't know if we have the wolves or the narwhals. Let's see here. Pat Vizino says her long armor is her hubby, so no shame at all. Yeah, I feel like my husband needs to get a new job, man. He's got to do some of this long arming for us up in here. Now, whenever we come to the end of our quilting, right, and we have our flimsy. So this was a new word to me, that the unfinished quilt top with no backing or batting is called a flimsy. So if you have a flimsy and you've gotten to the end of Flyway and you've got this quilt together, and so you're like, I have some fears, right? I have some hesitations. There's some insecurities that we as quilters typically have when we get to the end of a project like this. My quilt stitches aren't perfect. I've said this. I think every time I show a quilt here in the shop, I say this. Okay, we've got some gray work coming in here. Thank you, ma'am. All right. You guys wanted to see some gray work. So here we go. We have the leopards. All right. Oh, get my son long arming, Pat. That is a fantastic idea. Got some of the sea lions in here. Boop, 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 boop. And yeah, Dominic. This summer, Dominic, you were long arming. And we've got the puffins. And so this is the gray work that we're going to be using in our classic box for this next month for December. So these are the 3 prints that we chose for that box. However, we also have other fabrics that we're using for the PMQ. But gray work is beautiful, guys. These animals are just so well done. Okay. Common finishing fears. So quilting stitches aren't perfect. That's okay, guys. Everyone always says, hey, don't look too closely at the mistakes. Hey, I've got a little bit of errors. And you know what? Whenever nothing we make is flimsy. It's a quilt top. Yes. So I was at a retreat. And someone said, it's called a flimsy. And I'm like, what's a flimsy? And they're like, that's what your unfinished quilt top is. And so I don't know where the word came from. It was not one that was in my vocabulary before 3 months ago. And so is it a flimsy or flat? It's a flimsy is what it was called. Okay. My stitches aren't perfect. Everyone puts it down and says, hey, don't look too closely at the mistakes. But whenever you're on the internet and you see a quilt hanging up and you're inspired by it, do you pinch, zoom, and look in to make sure that every single corner matches? No, not a single person ever does that. Someone posts a finished quilt and you either heart it or you save it and you move on, but nobody is zooming in to see that all of the points are not perfect. So it's one of those things we've got to let that part go. This one has definitely hit me. I'm afraid I'll mess up after all this work. So you put all this time and effort into the top, and then you're afraid that you're going to quilt it and make a mistake. And so I have a baby quilt that is basted together, and I made a mistake, and it's still sitting there. And it's because I've made a mistake in the basting and I'm too afraid to take it apart and start all over again. But I feel like we as quilters need to have a general commitment is give yourself permission to be imperfect. And it's okay if you make a mistake, because it is a functional piece at the end of the day that is beautifully made and was made by you. And as long as it meets its intended function and doesn't end up in a tote in the corner of your quilt room, then you have succeeded. Savvy McStilly has a fantastic, I feel like this is kind of a friend question, right? Can you be my friend if they're getting in that close to finding mistakes, they are no friend. Yes, if you are looking at my quilts and finding mistakes, you have not met my friend threshold. I love this. Another fear is I don't know which batting, backing, or binding to choose. This one's paralyzing. I feel this. You put all this work into it, you don't know what to choose. And you feel like if you're going to add a backing to it, and it's not from the same collection, it's going to be a problem. And I don't think anyone's ever sat on a couch with a quilt on their lap, flipped it over to the other side and said, yeah, this doesn't work. It's not what it's supposed to be. That's not the way people work. You as the maker work that way, but there's not a single person that's had a quilt on a bed, flipped it over and said, yeah, I wish you'd done something different on the backing. That's not the way it works. It's done. It's finished. It's good. The binding can be something that can add wow to it. Most people don't even know what the word binding is. My family does because I've talked about it enough. If I was to give a quilt to my mother-in-law and she didn't comment on the binding, it's because she doesn't know what binding is. And it's okay because it looks great and it's finished. And I don't have time to quilt it right now. So let's talk about this one for a second. So you get this project done and all of a sudden Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas is coming, end of the New Year's is coming. You might have some retreats coming up. You might have a grandbaby on the way, a baby on the way. You might be getting married. There could be a lot of reasons why finishing your quilt top right now might not be in the cards for you. And that is okay. Oh, thank you. Caroline loves my earrings. I think one of my kids picked them out for me. So it could be something that it's just not the right time for you right now. And that is absolutely okay. It's just a matter of making sure that you take all this work that you've done and store it safely where it can stay dry, where it can stay out of light. Make sure that you're storing it properly instead of keeping it out. Because sometimes when we keep it out on the table, it's a constant reminder and guilt, and it's laying on more stress on top of a situation that's already too stressful. And so making sure that you put it away in a safe place where you can come back to it when you have more time and when your time and your energy align. And so I feel like that's the piece that really we try to maybe force something through when we're not feeling it or when we're distracted or when we've got problems. And so in those cases, just set it aside. Just store it. Don't leave it out on the counter, right? Where it's a constant reminder of whatever that negative energy or that negative reason is, or the stress it's inducing to you. And then come back to it when you're better state of mind, because you want to make sure that every stitch you're putting into it is made with positive energy and that you're moving in the right direction. And so definitely be okay putting it aside if you need to. All right. We're going to skip that section. And so really what I want to get to is, making sure that you're keep staying on top of and being inspired by this. And so I know every time I open my Facebook feed, I'm seeing your guys' photos and I'm seeing your guys' finishes and I'm seeing how you've taken something and you've made it better. You've made it your own. You've twisted. You guys have done all of these fantastic things. That is inspiring to me. So if you feel yourself stuck on any of these elements, I don't know what to do about binding. I don't know what to do about backing. You can either let the groups inspire you. You can either let the internet inspire you, or you can take the very scary step and put out that post and that question into the group and see what people say to you. See what feedback comes back to you. I know it's super scary to admit that you don't know how to do something, that you might need help with something, and it is absolutely okay. In our community, I can say confidently with 1,000%. In the Cotton Cuts community, it is absolutely okay to ask for help if you get stuck. Hey, can someone tell me the difference between these types of batting? My long armor is suggesting I don't know. This is a safe place to ask those questions and to get lots of help. And I've seen in the past week, people posting questions before our team can even get into answer. You guys have helped each other out. That is the community we want. That is the people that we want here, is people that are positively biased towards helping each other get to the finish line. And so if you are unsure on how to finish out these projects, please, please, please ask. And then the last is actually just experiencing the joy of finishing your quilt. Now, for every person that comes in a different way. So some people celebrate milestones. Oh my gosh, I got it all quilted. Oh my gosh, I got all the binding done. Oh my gosh, I got the label on it, right? Or some people are like, it has been gifted and I have gifted that joy to someone else. So really just making sure you're celebrating all these accomplishments as they come, all these milestones to keep you motivated to keep finishing. And so I think when we see them all together, when they're quilted and when they're bound, it is just such an accomplishment. And we make sure we celebrate that. I know for me personally and a bunch of my group of friends, we hit accomplishments and then we're ready to move on to the next. Make sure you take a minute, you stop, and you enjoy the fact that you put 10 months of work into a project and it is done and it looks amazing and it's beautiful. Michelle Culbertson's asking, are we going to offer any Flyway quilt in a box kits? Yes. That is coming right after we do Scrappy Happy. We want to make sure we get all the Scrappy Happy Rainbow row by rows out the door. And then the quilts in the box are coming next. And so we're going to see how many more we can make with the yardage we have. We also want to make sure that you guys get all the additional yardage and all those orders out the door as well, because we want to make sure that we don't cut fabric into triangles and squares that you guys would need for yardage to finish your quilts. Amy Kubik is asking the Wild West quilt label. Can we get the title of the quilt and a label for others? We will definitely take a look at that, Amy, and see what can be done. We ordered those from a company that was in Europe last time. With tariffs and imports, it might not be possible anymore. So we'll have to see if we can source a U.S. supplier for that. But that's a fantastic idea. So we can actually put the quilt labels in the quilts. All right, so that is everything on the finishing of your PMQ quilts and finishing quilts in general. We have done an in-depth show on all of these topics. Paula's going to put all of those links in the comments so you guys can see it. So you can go back and hear way more information about all of this. Let's see here. Lori Kale says, made her first quilt from her own pattern. I did not have to follow a pattern. I just sat and sewed. Actually, the first time I've enjoyed piecing my quilt. I sometimes feel like patterns make us feel like there's a right answer. And so that's why everything we do at Cotton Cuts is here's a recommended answer. And if you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. But I know when it comes to a pattern, there's a right way and a wrong way. And I don't like that necessarily, which is why we're always like, here's a starting point. Here's some things you can do with it. All right, everything on the topic. So it is time for our giveaway. As we do every week, there's going to be a $25 Cotton Cuts gift card up for grab for one lucky person who finds this video on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube and answers this question. This is a hairy question, guys. This one's gonna reveal some wounds here. What is the oldest unfinished quilt top you have, and what's stopping you from finishing it? So what is the oldest unfinished quilt top you have, and what's stopping you from finishing it? All right. Deborah Wood's asking, who did I reference about bindings? So Red Pepper Quilts. She's a quilter out of Australia, and she does amazing scrappy quilts, but she has a binding tutorial on her blog. I think it's from 2016. Fantastic. Amazing. It changed the way I do bindings. It's fantastic. All right. So for me, my oldest unfinished quilt top, I don't know. That's a hard question because I think there was a phase in my life where I was just burning through patterns and burning through quilt tops and buying fabric for kits that I was really liking. And I think they're all kind of sitting. So I feel like they're all competing for the oldest quilt top. And mind you, the timeline on that's about 15 years ago. So I think I have kind of a lot of things to work on. And I think just stopping me from finishing it is just I'm constantly inundated with new fantastic fabrics. Like I see these and now I want to make stuff for people. Like I want to make this into something for my niece or my nephew. And so I feel like it's stopping me is because I'm constantly inundated by new and inspiration. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. So let's see here. Kay Smith is saying 3 years, a second quilt made. Don't like the colors now. Don't want to spend the time to finish it as I'm having too much fun making new ones. So my fantastic suggestion here, I said this a couple weeks ago, is donate that. Is take it to a guild or take it to Goodwill. If it's not giving you joy anymore, it's not going to give you joy in the future, and release it because it might give someone else joy and they can make something fascinating and inspiring with it. And it'll make them happy versus making you sad about it. Let's see here. My oldest quilt top is one that I'm hard quilting the top, hand quilting the top. I really don't have much left to do. I guess I just need to finish it. Lonnie, that's fantastic. You're hand quilting it. Let's see. Holly Millen on Instagram says she's very new to quilting. The PMQ is her oldest. Oh, that's fantastic. I love new quilters. New quilters are fun. All right, that is it for us today, gang. So keep answering those questions. Some quick reminders before we sign off. Colorways for Field of Dreamers are coming next week in batches. Hang out, check it. Make sure you're in the Cotton Cuts Fabric group. Make sure you're checking our website. Mystery 50 Island Hopping is in full swing. Clue 2 just dropped. Don't forget our Saturday sew-in. It's the virtual one in the Mystery 50 group. Make sure you're joining us there. Under the Sea keeps marching forward. We are about to ship Clue 5, and then we're getting ready for Clue 6 here. And most importantly, if you have any questions, you guys, make sure you're emailing help@cottoncuts.com. If you see someone with a question and it's easier to send them to help@cottoncuts.com, please do that. Carrie is fantastic. Carrie is awesome. Carrie had a birthday this week and there was a holiday. Carrie is getting caught up, but you are not going to be ignored. Carrie takes fantastic care of all of our folks. So please, please, please email help@cottoncuts.com and we will get all of your questions answered and we will get you in the right place. I promise. All right, that is it for me, gang. It has been a fantastic time. I just love all the stuff that's hanging out around me today. I'm so excited about gray work. I'm glad I was able to share that little surprise with you guys. Perhaps that'll be one of the first colorways we drop next week, so you guys can get in on that. That is it for me, gang. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend ahead sewing, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good day, and bye now. And cut! Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one-stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new, fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.